I guarantee you that if you do something and you stick to it long enough, you will get success. Why 90% of businesses fail in their first 2 or 5 years is that they either run out of money, they run out of patience, they run out of resources, they have a family to look after, none related to the skills of the entrepreneur. You may not have amazing skills, but you can still succeed. The question is, do you have it in you to wait it out?
Ever wonder what separates entrepreneurs who build one successful business from those who create multiple thriving ventures? The answer lies in mastering the pivot. From growing up in a middle-class family in India to becoming a Silicon Valley marketing executive and then a 3X founder with businesses generating seven figures, our guest has transformed fear into strategic action. Neena Pandey built multiple successful companies, including Indie Roots, which reached $1 million in annual sales with zero paid advertising in under 2 years, a tutoring franchise she automated to generate $10,000 monthly with little involvement, and her newest venture, String Code, a women's apparel brand focused on confidence and mental health. As a Forbes author and business coach, Neena doesn't just teach marketing strategy. She'll show you how to detach your income from your time while maintaining authenticity in your entrepreneurial journey. Today, she reveals the exact mindset shifts and systems that will help you play big faster in business, even if you're still working your 9 to 5. Neena, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very honored to be here.
Your journey spans from corporate marketing executive to managing multiple ventures. You're a Forbes author, a serial entrepreneur. How did you get to this point? And how did you decide that I want to do all the things?
That's an interesting question and very close to my heart because a lot of people ask me this. There are two things that play an important role: your vision and circumstances. I grew up in a middle class family in India, and we were three sisters. I was the youngest out of three. And my parents put a lot of emphasis on education. One thing which was non negotiable is for us to be on our own foot. And so people couldn't take advantage of us and so on. Career and education were important for us from the beginning, forward to when I did my MBA and started working in technology in Silicon Valley. People ask, when did you want to be an entrepreneur? My answer is for as long as I can remember. I want to create something, build something, but I was afraid to leave that high paying job in Silicon Valley with a family of two kids, how expensive things are in Silicon Valley. And of course, career, right? The kind of technology, it's a promising career, high paying job. Fear held me back. And I do a lot of journaling. I have meditation practice. So I generally ask a lot of questions when I'm in my own space, I'm silent. One day I was thinking about if I was near the end of my life on my deathbed, and would I regret doing or not doing anything? So, one thing stood up for me and was that I would regret not taking chances. The entire life will pass by in front of me, and I'm still getting goosebumps when I think about this because that was a pivotal moment for me. I decided to try. I thought, okay, I will leave my job. I was starting to do something on the side, but I didn't have the courage to leave my job. So I said, I'll start and I'll see how it goes for 2 years and then reevaluate. At least I will have the comfort of knowing I tried. It's not that I was immensely successful in those 2 years, but I have not looked back. It all happens when you have a passion, you want to do something, you have the right mindset, then life starts creating paths for you. I remember my first business, it was Club Z. It is an education business. I did all the numbers and revenue projections before. That was the first business I did after quitting my job. So I'm like, okay, how much will I earn? Will I in 2 years, 5 years? And numbers look great. And they still were great. But when I was doing that, I realized that this was not something which I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life. Then, when in my coaching program, I talk about what's your niche, what do you want to do, and how do you want to do it. That decides if you'll be happy in whatever niche you pick. I did pick the right niche, but it wasn't the right business. Here, the mindset comes in because for somebody who left her high paying job and started down this route and it didn't work out, they would think, okay, bad move, I failed. The thought came to me, but I decided to do something. Instead of giving up on the business and going back to corporate, I decided to have that as an independent business with low involvement from me in a self running mode. And that was a franchise of a national company called Clubsy, based out of Florida. Owner not being involved was not an option. But I decided to break tasks into simpler things. I offshored 80% of my tasks with very, very low budget. You don't need to have big amount of money to hire a team. And then right now it runs without my involvement. It's a parallel stream of income around 10,000 per month. Instead of saying it's not for me, I failed, I turned that into something viable. I started my own home decor company called Indie Roots. This is all handmade products. You see departmental stores, Barrel, Pottery Barn, Burlington, BGM, all these the home decor items made out of wood, metal, marble, made in India and other neighboring countries, Southeast Asia. And people are making it by hand. And these are people who are sitting in villages and it's very organized. So there are these people, artisans, and there's somebody who's coordinating everything, somebody who is working with the brands and the quality. This was very humbling for me because everything is handmade. I feel humbled when I see that humans can do all that with their hands. I built a supply chain in India, 500 artisan groups, and then I started this business. It was amazing. So basically, I started with a 10K investment, and in under 2 years, we had a $1 million run rate with no paid ads. So I say it's not with no paid ads. It's all, I have a marketing background. So, I don't want to get into that, but then it's possible. Bottom line is that it was amazing. But after COVID, there were some issues with the business models. We are trying to pivot. And my latest venture is String Coat, the women's wear brand. I'm very passionate about it because what you wear is directly proportional to your confidence level. If you're feeling wonderful, feeling confident, then the next step that you're going to take is going to create ripple effect. Bottom line, it's going to launch in spring summer 2025 based out of New York. Already gathering editorials and accolades. Forbes extended their membership to me. I'm a member of Forbes Business Council, also going to be featured in Marquis Who Is Who in America's list in 2025. Your question around how I do all that, it's strategy and the right mindset. From an operational perspective, you break things into parts and outsource some. You cannot do everything on your own. It's knowing exactly what goes into it and creating strategy around it. We all have 24 hours, right? But some people end up doing so many things and some people do not. Strategy and mindset play a very important role. We all have immense potential, but sometimes we just don't know, we don't have the know how. And that's where community coaching comes in. When I was in my B school, I see my professors, amazing credentials. I had my accounting professor who was a CFO at HP. I always wanted to go back to my business school and teach. I thought close to my retirement, I'll do that. But now with things opening up so much, and I have always advised startups and small one on one coaching. But now I have opened up my group coaching. I help people who are in the same situation, who are itching to do something of their own, but they're so scared they don't know how to. I want to make sure they don't do the same mistake as me because I didn't take any help and I learned from failure. So it took me a long time to be successful. You don't have to do that. You have a great community to rely on. And that's what I'm trying to do.
No, and I love the way you broke down that you journal. There are so many ways people approach that. Everybody has a self help book or a journal with prompts. What have you found most helpful when you're journaling? Do you have certain prompts that you use that are business related or just things that keep your mindset where it needs to be so that you can optimize each day?
There are two kinds of journals I do. One is self help. One thing really helped for me is to see progress, to see how far I have come. I grew up in a middle class family in India. We were three sisters. And in India at the time, women are considered, I would not say a liability. My parents never had the mindset, but generally it's thought that parents have to marry them off, so they need to accumulate wealth. And many women also, their goal becomes to be a housewife. Nothing wrong with that. But then for us, it was always a do or die kind of situation that you have to earn your own livelihood. I remember a story which is very close to my heart. In India, gold is considered an investment. There was one night when there was a wedding in the family and all my mom's gold was in the household. Everything got stolen. And then everyone came out and they're like, oh my God, to my mom, you have three daughters. How will you marry them off? Everyone was very sad and concerned. And my dad said, it's just material. I am here, you are here, and I will build it again. So those are the words which really, it's imprinted in my memory. Even now, I get goosebumps when I hear about that. Something just stayed with me. You are capable of great things, and anything is possible if you try. It's all about you. Everything else is material. When I journal, I note down everything from the time I was in India to I came here and I did my MBA, then I moved to tech. From that time, when I look back, how far I've come, I have been able to do all these things. When I look back at high school and how we looked, I laugh when I see the pictures. It's refreshing and humbling that it's me who has done all this. Even if you have a small setback, you need a longer vision. You need to see, okay, if it's not happened the way I wanted right now, but is it, and I'm a firm believer in, I'm a spiritual person. So I feel that with the right mindset, if you're giving your best, things are aligned to your advantage. So all these big companies like Amazon, Google, they didn't really know that it'll grow out to be such huge companies. They started in the garage, Amazon with selling books, and then they failed, got up, pivoted, and the result was bigger than they had originally envisioned it to be. I really feel that if you are failing, probably it's for something better. And what you need to do is you need to get up, analyze, and pivot. And this journal is able to help me keep the perspective of, okay, if you see a bigger picture, yes, I have been able to do XYZ. So this is a momentary setback. I tell people close to me to do this because it's powerful. And also gratitude, I think journaling helps me. I also do a gratitude meditation every day. If you're thankful for all the things that has happened to you, for all the things universe has given to you, then you are already in the right mindset to approach the next problem with agility and the right mindset. If you're always complaining, then and you, I'm sure you know that, right? Brain take cues from our body language, from what we are thinking. So if you're thinking, I have always been unsuccessful, I don't think it's for me, then brain will create pathways to realize that. And if you feel that, okay, I know this has happened for good and I can see that path in front of me, gratitude and journaling helps me see that path and makes me put things in perspective.
I love the way you discuss your journey. I hear optimism and gratitude in your voice for the opportunities you've had and created. I don't hear, and I hear a lot of entrepreneurs talk about, is burnout. With all the things that you're doing, have you experienced burnout? If so, how do you address that? As you embark on each new endeavor, there are still things that must be done in certain time frames that they must be done in.
We all experience burnout, right? Especially transitioning from corporate life to entrepreneurship. One thing is burnout, which you get in corporate life as well. But then there is support system. There is a team. There is community. There are people. You can talk to them on the water cooler. You can go on cocktails with them in the evening. You can vent. And if you have to take decisions, there's a team behind you. When you are on your own, it's really scary because all the big decisions are yours, failures are yours. And also, you are not going to the office. It's a very lonely journey. Burnout, there is no way to vent it because it's just you who has to create pathways to reduce that burnout. Nobody's going to help you, right? So I have been watching a lot of self-help videos. I do my meditation and so on. But one thing I have realized is we should not chase perfection, especially women. We feel we have to do it all the right way, be present as moms, be a good wife, be a good host when guests come. You can show off what you've cooked, and yeah, you're a good cook as well, and then you have to look impeccable. People always talk about balance. I really feel, and have lived this, I don't think balance exists.
The words work life balance, that's an oxymoron. I don't know if you can have a balance.
Exactly. How can you have balance? Right now, there are three things that are my priority: my kids, my work, and my workout. For a long time, I'm a very workouts and fitness is very important for me. But when things go south and I don't have time, that's the first thing I cut out of my life because I cannot cut kids out or my workout. But then I realized you need to figure out what things are important for you. Even if you have three top things, if something is extremely important at work, and you have your kids' recital, would you drop that work thing? No, you never know what might come up. Even if only kids are your priority, there could be conflicting situations where one kid requires one thing and another requires another. It's a matter of raising a family where you communicate these values very clearly. If your kids also understand that there are times when mom will not be able to come to whatever important recital or performance I have, and it's okay because she has a work. I have a son and a daughter. I want them to know that work is not secondary. Whatever I have, I am committed, be it my kids I have given birth to or my work. I have certain responsibilities I need to fulfill. I cannot abandon one. That's what your work ethic means. I don't want to give the impression to my kids that, oh, your work ethic goes out of window if you have something else coming up. They need to grow up and be professionals. They need to know what work ethic means. They need to know that if they have taken responsibility, they have to execute it. They cannot shy away from it. There is no excuse. You need to be able to do it all. That's the kind of balance I aim for. We all respect each other's commitments. And I try to raise a family where everybody understands that. As far as cooking goes, I love cooking, but my husband is a better cook and cooks more often. If somebody comes to my home, I say he has cooked everything. I don't feel bad about it. Why should I? Some feminists say to have a balance, you need to divide work 50-50. We are not roommates. I don't understand the concept of dividing work 50-50. It's very transactional, it's not a relationship. So you do something, I do something. My kids will pick up when neither me or my husband. So there are times during COVID and now when they're home and we are working, so they do their own lunch from a very early age. So I think that's the kind of support system you need to build in your life that allows room for all your commitments to grow, not just one. You need to allow yourself to do whatever is important to you really well. Every second we are making a decision, whatever comes up, then look at your priorities and you say, okay, this is a bigger priority for me. And you do that. So it's all happens in the moment. You cannot plan for it and you cannot have a spreadsheet with everything properly laid out. It's dynamic. We cannot have balance in life.
And I love that perspective because so many people who lean into traditional gender roles and think that your role as a mother or father must come first all the time. But I did have one guy that I met very early in my career, and he told me something that has stuck with me to this day. He told me to plan my fun first. When I first had kids, I was missing everything because I would always plan my work commitments and try to pencil in my life around my work commitments. And he was like, no, plan your fun first and work around that. I've been able to really enjoy my family and my business a lot more now that I'm not just so rigid with everything.
I think
Wow.
that's a great thing to mention because there is no one size fits all. When somebody is struggling in the beginning of their career, you can't ask them to get up and say no to your bosses. But you need to prioritize your fun so you know that at least, okay, once a week, Saturday mornings, I'm going on a hike, and then that's the safest time when nobody will disturb you, right? So you can create few anchors, which if you look back, you will not feel that you didn't do any fun or spend time with your family at all these years, right?
You've left Silicon Valley and have your group coaching program. How has everything up until this point informed all the great things that you're bringing to people who join your program?
I'm very passionate about teaching, and I had this vision that I would one day go back to my B school and teach. I prioritized rolling out my coaching program now because I see so many people like me. Back in those days, I was climbing corporate ladders. but completely burnt out. I was doing well, but I had lost all passion. My office was 1.5 hours away, and I didn't want to get ready. When you lose passion, that's the red flag, right? Ever since I wrote my program, my B school buddies and my other corporate friends have reached out to me saying, "Hey, what you say, that's we are so burnt out. We need to break this pattern." My first job, I was with Sun, the best company I've ever worked with. Later, they were bought by Oracle. We had layoffs every 6 months. When it was announced, we would all sit in a room and nobody knew whose job was going to cut. That's not the right way to live, right? You are always worried what will happen, and that's the only source of income that you have. And I also, along the way, instituted portfolio career concept where you're not just doing one thing, you're doing multiple things. You don't have that anxiety of what if this goes wrong. For example, during COVID, the businesses that got impacted the most were global supply chain, and that is what it was. Containers afloat, waiting in the port, nobody's picking it up, and then all the buyers canceling orders. What if something like that happens? You need to hedge your bets. So I teach my students how to do multiple things at a time. You need to start with one. But it's more important now because of the economy and different threats. I love AI, but there are many people who think that with AI there would be job cuts. So, how do you recreate your career, even if you're working? And it's always a good idea to don't rely on one thing. So that was really my motivator. There are many people who reached out to me, and I thought that I'll launch my group coaching because it's more I can do at scale and it's more affordable. So basically, going back to why me and why I thought this was the best thing I could do. My career in Silicon Valley, with no technical background, I was able to do very well and climb up the ladders, unfamiliar territory. So I really realized how to navigate through unknown territories and how to make a mark. And then my three businesses, they're completely varied. One is in education. My franchise in Canada, Indie Roots, had $1 million in under 2 years with no paid ads. And then my latest company, String Code, we are already creating a lot of accolades. You can check it out from my Instagram. Unfamiliar industry, and everything is so different from each other. And now my fourth business, so it's a services business. I have experience along all these businesses. And one thing, which I didn't do right was to not get a mentor and delay my time to market and my time to revenue. Because I learned from failures, I'm also extremely equipped in advising others. There is absolutely anything that people have questions on that I can talk about. I have fought the battle for trademark and I lost my company's name. My attorney made a mistake in Indie Roots. I had that brand for 7 years and now I have to rebrand. Be it product business or service, I know it all because I have failed and done it. It will cost three. I had an amazing team in India, complete sampling unit, tailors, masters, and everything, digital marketing and everything. Right, I was paying retainers to these guys, and after launching that, I realized that it collection was beautiful. By the way, all silk, handmade, hand embroidery, but I pivoted. I changed my brand name. I created another collection from grounds up. So, bottom line is that if you think about businesses, it's about building a Lego tower. You think you know everything, but if one piece is not in the right place, your entire tower will come crumbling down. So, can one person know everything? No. But if you don't get help, three things will happen. One is you will lose time to market. Second, you will lose money in the process. Like I said, I lost a collection worth 250K in my garage. And third, last but not the least, actually, it's the most important thing, is you lose your morale. Because when things don't happen, for example, I left my job and I started this, and you will not believe that people very close to me, after I didn't make it big in the beginning, they were like, "Don't you think it's time to go back to corporate? I have a friend who is looking for somebody who could manage their marketing team. Should I talk to them? Do you want to send me your resume?" I had to stop talking to everyone about my career because the only advice they would give is for me to go back to corporate. So, bottom line is that it's very easy to lose morale and to quit. And then for the entire life, you will keep on thinking that you didn't have it in you. But if you stick to it long enough, you will get success. The problem is 90% of businesses fail in their first 2 or 5 years. They either run out of money, they run out of patience, they run out of resources, they have a family to look after, they cannot be in that state any long. So variety of reason, none related to the skills of the entrepreneur. You may not have amazing skills, but you can still succeed. The question is, do you have it in you to wait it out? If you can't, it's better to get a mentor. And that is the biggest regret that I have, that I did it all on my own.
Yeah, and I think that you really touched on a really important point is that sometimes people do not stick it out long enough. I was listening the other day to an interview that Mel Robbins did with the Breakfast Club. She's promoting her new book. Charlemagne the God was like, "You've had this overnight success." And she stopped him. She was like, "No, this was not overnight. This is 15 years of doing the stuff that nobody sees, putting content out, nobody viewing the content." And I just really love the way she broke that down, very similar to what you did.
Yeah, that's an amazing question you have touched on, Sharif. And it's because there is so much misconception floating around on the internet, on Instagram. And no disrespect to anyone, but every other feed that you see, how I made $1 million while I was sleeping, and the next morning I wake up, my bank account has gone up by $50,000. Everyone is talking about making money in their sleep. That's not how it works. Even if you are making money in your sleep, it's because you have worked really hard for the first 5, 10 years and built systems that work without you. For example, my Club Z, I'm not involved anymore, but it works and it gets me revenue. Okay, it's my side thing, so not amazing, but then still, it's a business. I have worked so hard to put that business on autopilot. I think people don't, and I urge all content creators to really tell people the right thing, your struggles. People see the rosy things and feel this is the way to go. But sleepless nights, crying. I think you were asking about the journal and how do you cope with all the stress. I want to revisit that question because I wanted to talk about an important thing. I did get into depression and I'm very vocal about it. There is a taboo against mental health, but that's what entrepreneurship does. You fail so often, you don't have any money coming in. I did go to therapists, I did take therapy, and there is nothing wrong about it. That's the reason we created a charity to help women facing these challenges. You are okay, even if you are depressed. It's okay if you're a gay, it's okay if you're anorexic, because we all are the same. Movement also extends to models. You see those size 0 and 2 figures, and you're like, this is the norm. But what is going on inside them? How are they able to keep up that figure, and what are their insecurities? We encourage them to come out and speak. It's a long and it's a very tiring battle. And nobody has seen what goes on, I think, other than my immediate family, especially my husband, and to an extent, my extended family, sisters and parents. Nobody knows what I have gone through, how many I have cried, I have doubted myself. And I always used to think that if I was doing a corporate job, would I be this miserable? No. But if you are building something, nobody sees what has gone into it. People say you've got lucky. Actually, people don't achieve things even after all this. So, yes, I am very fortunate. And that's where my gratitude journal comes into play. I have worked very hard, and most entrepreneurs work really hard. Overnight success is very rare.
Some entrepreneurs who try to make it seem like, oh, I just work 8 hours a week and I'm making millions, but there are countless hours. And you almost don't mind working a 60-hour week as an entrepreneur versus going to a W 2 and putting in that same amount of time just because of the pride in what you're building.
Your successes are your own, your failures are your own. So of course, in corporate world, beyond a certain extent, you cannot exert your influence, right? The decision is always management, the CEO's decision. So, of course, there is a pride because you have come a long way and done something managing the marketing team, the numbers. But in your own business, that's a scary part as well. Your decisions stick with you, right? If there's a failure, then it's yours. But then it's pride because this is all done single handedly. Many of us, I didn't have a team. I was a solo entrepreneur. Whatever I have done, it's my baby. People don't shy away from spending countless hours because eyes are on the prize.
With one of your businesses being a franchise, I've talked to entrepreneurs who have different schools of thought about franchises. There are lots of entrepreneurs who want to put their own mark on something, they want something original. But there are other entrepreneurs who see the value in having systems and marketing and referral systems in place. What led you to pick a franchise as one of your business models?
Yeah, and you read my mind. I really wanted to talk about that. Everything I have done, I planned for it. There were different variations that happened, which I didn't expect, and I pivoted. But Club Z was a calculated move because when I was leaving behind a high paying job and coming on to entrepreneurship, I really wanted to understand how business works. I come from, in India, we call it a service class family. I wrote an article in Forbes about it. Service class family are people in government jobs or working for somebody. Nobody in my family has done a business. I wanted to understand what it takes to run a business. Education is, of course, close to my heart, but the decision to take a franchise was completely based on business. It was completely a business decision, only for business reasons. I saw the revenue, what kind of franchise is this. It was a little hands off, unlike other where founders need to be totally involved. I knew that I will not want to do this for the rest of my life. It just came sooner than I had thought. There are other franchises where owners are supposed to be the face, but Club didn't have that limitation. It was a virtual model. I thought it was a great way to start, have the experience, and understand how to run a business. That is one reason why I moved from Club Z and I started my own thing, because there were certain barriers I faced when I was trying to expand. For example, in Silicon Valley, I don't know if you're aware of how the geography is, but I own three territories which span most of the South Bay, which is a huge territory. So I have, as against a small 2 mile radius, I had this entire South Bay, so to say. And I was clumsy for private clients and some institutional clients. My strategy was to go after institutional clients because I wanted to not deal with one on one. I wanted to work more and all the shelters, family shelters, and the organizations, corporate, because our tutoring was not just school, it was school, college, foreign languages. We could just bring on any business model, and Clubsy would be okay with that. So, after countless hours of working with a client, that client was government, it was Santa Clara County, and it was their foster kids program. I had numerous meetings with them, and they awarded me a deal to handle their entire foster kids program. Foster kids program is that when kids are put into foster homes, so there is tutoring provided by the government. So that is the county. So Santa Clara County, they picked me, like my business. I'm not talking about Clubsy, like my particular franchise, to work with all foster kids in the area. I could not do it because of territorial restrictions. I could do probably half of that territory because in franchise model you are assigned certain territories and you cannot service clients outside those territories. Their whole intention was, they said, we have worked with many vendors and you sound genuine, you can show what you have done, whatever questions you're asking is spot on, I see that you can deliver, but I don't want to give my business to 10 different people. I want you to come in and handle everything. I could not do that because I had territorial restrictions. I told them that I can forward that to my neighboring Club Z because we forward leads to each other. If we cannot serve a lead, we send it to the one whose territory the lead is in. And they said, no, we want one person to manage it. Amazing opportunity, Santa Clara County foster kids program. And I can't serve it because of territorial restriction. Wake up call. I cannot scale. Service based business, everybody wanted a piece of me. I was burnt out. I go to Yosemite, family ritual, we go once or twice a year. And that's the only place with no signal. I would go to the visitor center with my laptop and work because somebody would be looking for me. So, bottom line is that franchise model is great, but it really depends on your goals. Again, goes back to how to identify your need. Depending on your goals and what you're wanting to do, it could be a great model, but in certain situations where your goal doesn't align with what the franchise has to offer, it's not a good model. We go over certain things and exercises to figure out what exactly are you looking for and does this model solve that purpose. If your goals align, excellent, but if it doesn't, then you need to do something of your own. But you don't have to do that. That's where the mentor comes in, right? Don't jump without knowing what's out there. At least have somebody who can walk you through. It could also be a mentor. It's a matter of knowing the know how and having somebody to guide you. That's very important.
With the push to have multiple streams of income in case one fails, how do you know when to pivot? Everyone can't juggle all the balls at one time. How do you know that I'm far enough in this business that I can start something new that may not be related without letting that first thing fail? What are some of the clues that maybe this is not the right time to pivot or start a new venture?
Yeah, when I thought Clubsy was not what I thought it would be, I started putting that in the side mode. I will not be involved, but I have somebody running it. You don't always say, if you enter into a business, you don't always have to scale it, because scaling is basically uh, growing it. But if, for example, for me, I knew that, okay, I'm getting burnt out. That's not what I want to do. It's at that time I realized that I need to put it in autopilot mode. So I need to stop scaling, but I have to put it in maintenance mode. A big factor to consider when creating multiple streams of income is balancing out what takes how much of time. Some could be on a back burner, some could just generate passive income, or you start something, build it to an extent, and then start reaping the benefits and move on to another. So, couple of things when you know it's the right time to exit. There could be parameters like, hey, I'm not finding it interesting. Could be environmental clues. If you know that, okay, for example, these days, if I know that electric is the way to go, then pivot, bring that business to autopilot or stop it, and then you move on to another one. From an intangible perspective, if you're enjoying the business or not, you will know. That's a time to say, okay, I need to put that on autopilot and move on. Second thing would be environmental. I try to always be on top of things. And I think that's also when you do it long enough, you try to read the market, figure out what's a good way to go or not. For example, with Airbnb, things were booming. Everybody was getting into it. Now there are caveats. I have joined so many groups. Join a group, join a community. There are discussions like this. So you will know when is the right time to do what. But then you can figure out, okay, I have X number of hours in a day. I will give 2 hours to everything. This thing is my primary thing, so I'm giving it the most time, and then rest of it I'm just giving it an hour or two. And then if you're really passionate about something, you scale that, you make it your primary. Even while you are making it primary, you take out a half hour, 1 hour, but do something which you are building on the side. This will not really happen when you are working and doing your first business. But once you get a hang of it, you can keep looking at different opportunities. And it boils down to personality. I'll give you an example. I'm always thinking about new business ideas. Even in my sleep, sometimes my husband tells me to slow down because my mind is always wanting to figure out what can I do next. We need to train ourselves to just pick one thing, and you need to spend some time to it. If you want to do stock market, just pick half hour per day, learn how it works. You're enhancing your skills. Do that for your first side hustle. Figure out the market, figure out what you can do, create your offer, read up, dress your product. Take out half or 1 hour per day and do something different from what you're doing. And you see the results will be amazing couple of years down the line.
I love the way you mentioned blocking time for activities. Alex Hermosi and Brendon Burchard are big proponents of block time. Do you have any things that you do with your calendar on a regular basis that keep you in line and keep things focused for you?
I just wanted to show you this. I'm a tech gal. I've been in technology and everything is on phone, on computer. But there are two things where I use paper. One is this planner, this high performance
Oh,
planner.
that is Brendan's planner. Yes.
Yes. So basically, there's some time getting used to it, but then really keeps me in check, right? Because it has weekly tasks. You can plan every Sunday evening. I plan for the week ahead. Every day there are time slots. I plan for it, and even now I always go at the end of the day and I am making adjustments because it didn't work. So if you see this, there are many highlights, many pencils next to it. We fail, and that's okay. But when I had set aside that day to do three very important things, and only two happened, then I know that, okay, third one was the most critical thing and I didn't do it. So I will find time to do it somehow. You are not falling behind. blocking out time. One thing which has really worked for me, people are pissed off with me, especially my family and people who are trying to reach me. My phone is always on a do not disturb mode because I don't see how can you keep your phone on an active mode and still focus. Right. When I'm on that half hour to 1 hour slot, I want to be fully present, screening the calls and keeping time for everything. I even allocate time for my worries. As human beings, we always worry. If you just shove away those worries, the amount of worries will keep piling up. If I find a time and say, now is the time, whatever has been bothering me every day, now let's think about it. I go over each worry. What if this happens? I didn't do this. And I try to address those worries. I also say, what could I have done? Is there anything I could have done? Can I do something about it or not? So I label them yes or no. So the next day, if I am getting some worry in my head, I quickly try to go through my labeling and say, is it a yes or a no? If it's a no, I drop it immediately. Allocating time for everything, including worries, has helped me address everything in my life. I fail daily, but I get 80% of things done.
Nina, if you had just one piece of advice to share with entrepreneurs on how to play big faster in business, what would that advice be?
For new entrepreneurs just starting out and don't know where to start, so there are a couple of things which I want to tell them is don't wait for the perfect moment to start because there will never be a perfect moment. You just need to start something and pivot along the line. For example, when I started my coaching business, I did not have a course in mind. I did not create modules because when I started talking to people and when I started mentoring people, I saw where most of the need was. And then I'm in a better position to create my program to solve that need. Same is the case with marketing, right? We run different Facebook ads to get a feel of who is the right target audience, what do they want, what are their pain points to validate everything. So start figuring out, start testing whatever you have in your mind, start doing that. Don't wait for anything to happen. Start with your existing thing and keep pivoting, and you may turn out to be something extremely big. For example, if you are very hungry and you go to a grocery store, you know that if you don't buy anything, you'll sleep hungry. You have to pick something and eat, right? That will solve your hunger. And then you can keep on adjusting what you're buying every single time. So don't wait for the perfect moment and get a mentor, because that is really the biggest mistake which I did. I regret that because uh, I have had mental health challenges. I was depressed, and I don't want anyone else to go through that because you don't have to do it alone. There is a big community out there, and I can promise you that if you get a mentor, what you'll end up gaining is way more than whatever you are putting in. If you don't get a mentor, you will end up wasting your time, your money, and losing your morale. You may want to quit that beautiful dream of yours. Third and very important thing I want to say is you don't need everything perfect. You do small things. Many people don't understand that. When I was doing my luxury women's wear brand, I was so fascinated. I was worried about my logo. I was so worried about my fonts that I was so fixated. It doesn't matter. Just start out with something dirty and things will start falling in place. You need to just take small steps. Success is not just opening up a big company, a huge startup, getting 10 million of funding. You can start with very low investment, start slow and still become successful. You don't need everything figured out.
If someone wants to take this offline and contact you, what is the best way to reach you?
My social profiles, LinkedIn, is Neena Pandey. Best way, go to my website, neenapandey.com. All my social links are there. On LinkedIn, it's Neena Pandey. On Instagram, it's I am Neena Pandey. I would encourage your viewers to please follow me, and I can see you in my feeds. We can be in each other's feeds. And I'm very passionate about inspiring others in the community. I want to inspire you and learn from you. So please follow me. And for your viewers, I am giving out a free strategy session. People who are on the fence thinking about whether it's a good idea, have some niche in mind, or don't have any clue on what they want to be doing, we can talk about your unique situation and I can give you ideas on what to do. At least it'll probably help you in crystallizing some of the thoughts you already had in your mind. I encourage you to book that session with me. I'll send the links to you. You can put it on your show notes. I would love to talk to you. And also, we are launching String Code in spring summer 2025. I would love to give a coupon to your audience if they wanted to try it out. Scherrie, can you spell your name?
Sure. SCHERRI.
Scherrie 25. So your audience can go to thestringcode.com and they can get 25% off. And please let me know how you like my outfits. How do you like what I have to teach? I put out videos on LinkedIn and YouTube. So please use that. Even if you don't work with me, be in a community, get help. Keep your eyes and ears open. I hope to meet you someday.
Neena, thank you so much for the conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. You have a lovely audience, and thank you, your lovely host. I enjoyed this conversation. And I really feel that if we were able to inspire even 1% of your viewers, then I think it's mission accomplished. If I'm able to change one person's life, that's worth it.
And for everyone else, remember to play big faster. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe on YouTube and follow on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Till next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. Want more entrepreneurial content?
I like this.
Make sure to subscribe for future episodes.
Already subscribed. I just clicked on it.
Don't forget to like and leave a review. Share with a friend that needs this in their life.
I think you need this more than I.
Oh, and make sure to follow Scherrie on IG at Scherrie Speaks. And remember to play big faster.